What's up? What's up? I'll give everyone a little bit of time to get in. Appreciate everybody for joining. The chat might be a little far behind, but it'll catch up. How's everybody doing? Monday. Mondays are tough. I got what's up? Anna Jackson, Montana Goodman. Yeah. Got up in Austin Eckler, my teammate. That man's a beast. I lifted with him today. I think I'm gonna be training with him a lot more. That man, we squatted today. Whew. That man is strong. Just JC, what's up? Good to see you live. Matthew Haynes show. To check out the show. Appreciate it. Doing A-okay. Nice. So you guys know one of my first few videos was about Cuomo. So I'm kind of excited to do another video about him. Obviously with everything that's happened since then. I mean, I think I was going to do another video, but I think I'll just cover it live and maybe clip it out. But none of it surprises me. The way he was able to go on live TV or his press conferences or whatever, like this man is literally sitting there. This man is sitting there talking, to his brother on CNN, talking during his press conferences, like he's doing some amazing thing. At the same time, this man is letting these nursing home patients just go back into nursing homes without being tested for COVID. I mean, he is, and at the time I was like, this man is literally the Democrats' version of Trump. Like, he's a move 2 inches back. I'll turn it down a little bit. I kind of like to crowd the mic for some reason. Appreciate that. I got the audio fixed. I'm using StreamYard. So I got the audio fixed. So we're gonna watch some videos. The audio is gonna be on. I got headphones. There's gonna be no echo. We're gonna be good. I told y'all I'll be good next time I came back. And we're good. But yeah. Probably been okay. Cuomo due to such a corporate sleazeball and narcissist. Yeah. He is. I mean, it's crazy to think that with some of these families, like, like the Bush family, the Clinton family, some of these like just families of people, same thing with the Cuomo family, are just in power for decades and decades and decades. One family from one family tree. This is a father and son, right? They've been in power. One was Mario Cuomo, the governor. You do super chats. I think are they are they not turned on? I just got the ability to do super chats. I think they're turned on, but yeah, I think you can do super chats now. Let me know if they are on. Okay, perfect. Don't be Cuomo-phobic. Hee. Yeah, right, because of the Cuomo-sexuals. People, man, liberals wanted to grasp on anything, like towards the end of the Trump's term when the primary is going on, and then the general. Jonathan Boyle can confirm super chat is on. LOL. Thanks, man. Appreciate that for supporting the show. Brett Taylor test. Appreciate that. Yeah, if you guys send super chats, they like show up. I'm pretty sure there's a panel I can look at, so I make sure I don't miss it. But I'll be interacting with the chat just throughout the so you don't need to send a super chat. I do interact. And don't feel the need to send a lot of money if you do send a super chat at all. Please don't do that. If you do, I mean, thank you, but no requirement necessary. $3 super sticker. Thank you for the super sticker. What's the difference between a super chat and a super sticker? I'm still kind of new to this. Thank you for fighting the good fight, Justin. No problem, man. I mean, people I actually want to talk. I'm glad you brought that up because people ask me a lot. I can't send money, poverty side. Hey, I feel that, man. I feel that. That's why I make sure I interact with the chat just in general. Um, as far as like people are like, why did you choose to do this? Or, this and that. You play in the NFL. A lot of people don't do that. They won't speak out when they play. And there's a reason for that. I mean, one, just overall, when you talk about Americans in general, we are very, not very knowledgeable when it comes to politics. But obviously, everyone who's in here watching this, I'm sure y'all know, but it's just because of the corporate control of the media. I remember even like, and I harken back to when I was in college. I was during the 2016 primary. I was 20 years old. And, I'm in my like, but I'm doing football. So like football is my main focus. I'm in college, I have class and all this type of stuff. I don't watch a whole lot of news, but I'm on social media, all this type of stuff. But at the time I wasn't on like lefty social media. So even though I was on social media, I'm in college, during, an election, usually colleges get, at least my college gets everyone kind of starts talking and there's an election going on. I did not know about Bernie Sanders because I just wasn't like paying attention to politics, and this is a way of saying like this is how controlled the media is on narratives like this. Obviously in 2020 is a little different because Bernie had been known by that point, but even throughout the primary, I didn't even know who he was until one of my teammates, his girlfriend was like, "Oh, I'm a Bernie girl," or something like that. And I even think my friend at the time was like, "Oh, I don't know, he's a little radical or too much." I don't know. He said something along those lines. That was the first I had ever heard of Bernie Sanders. And so I really didn't become like politically awake, I guess, until the general when I started doing more research on this stuff. But it's just crazy that someone like Bernie could get so much support, so much support. And, every people are talking about him. And obviously, he's winning primaries here and there. And he's still just got no news coverage. So even people that aren't in it all the time, it's just the fact that a lot of people probably didn't even know who Bernie Sanders was, didn't know his platform, all that type of stuff. And that was 2016. Fast forward 2020, obviously everyone knows who Bernie is. So what does he get? He gets, the most negative coverage. Now you just say, you go on MSNBC and they're talking about, Medicare for all costs too much, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing, CNN. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that within, football players aren't exclusive to that. It's not like football player, it is just a job. It's another job. It's a obviously very publicized job where you become somewhat of a celebrity, but it's a job as well. So they're not, that isn't exclusive on them. So a lot of them, aren't very knowledgeable about politics at all. But, me being very knowledgeable about these things and, you know, having some type of activist background and just really caring about these issues and loving to learn about them and all these things. Um, I, I speak out because I know too much to just not, I can't just not talk, not talk about it and not spread this message and just stay silent. Like personally for me, I couldn't handle, my mental if I would have, taken that route. So that's kind of why I speak out. I think it's important. Football isn't the be all end all of my life. I love it. It's what I do. I've played since I was 8. But, there's gonna be life after that. And I want to make sure that, while I'm here, while I have a platform, I use that, you know, to spread the message and to get more people on board. And I feel like I have a unique ability to talk to people that don't necessarily agree with me on policy or whatever. Could be great people, but we just disagree on politics or whatever. But I can always have those conversations with them, and I have experienced it where I've had those conversations with people, and they've come back months later and be like, "Wow, you really made me think. You changed my mind about this or that," and that's what it comes down to. But Yeah, so I'm excited today. We're gonna be talking about the Cuomo thing. Only 3% of Alabama primary voters ever heard of Bernie before the 2016 primary. Exactly. Exactly. Love the content. Appreciate everybody going in the chat. Um, we'll probably give it like another 5 minutes and then we'll start we'll start talking about this Cuomo stuff. Hey Justin, Graham Elwood provided your channel info. Congrats on the new show. Yeah, I was just on thank you. I was just on Graham Elwood's show, The Political Vigilante. I've known Graham for a while though because I mean not known him, but I've seen Jimmy's live show, back in Chicago back in the day. I don't know, it might have been like 3 or 4 years ago. And Graham was at the show. Can you have Pascal Roberts from This Is Revolution podcast? Will you be streaming on Twitch? I might try and get over to like stream on multiple platforms. I gotta set that all up though. I'll have to look up Pascal Roberts from This Is Revolution. I'll have to listen to that. I'll get back to you. Seeing Bernie, thanks, Rabbi Red Eye One. Thank you so much for the super chat. Seeing Bernie the Squad and Justice Dems choking back down after being regular small dollar donor has made me want to give up on electoral politics. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and we'll talk about this later too. But if you feel that way, I know a lot of people do. The only way you can really speak to politicians, obviously other than Twitter, but they only respond to a certain type of person. They don't see everything that you're saying to them. But it's with your money. It's with your money. So if you don't agree with what they're doing, if you don't agree with their strategy, which I know a lot of us don't agree with, stop giving them money. I mean, if money is speech, right? That's what we've come to in this country. We say that money is speech. Corporations are people. But I mean, if you don't if you don't agree with them and you don't agree with their strategy and the way they're going about things, stop donating. I know, I haven't donated since Bernie dropped out. I haven't donated a dollar because, you know, I don't agree. I don't agree with their tactics. I mean, I don't feel like it's worth just keep giving them more money, more money. I'm glad that people like AOC, I'm sure Rashida Tlaib, Omar, they use their platforms as organizers. They organize things like they did for Texas. I'm very, happy and glad that they do that. Um, but once again, it's like just repurposing our own money. We're working class, middle class, whatever people. Um, you're taking our money and giving it to people, so de facto, kind of de facto becomes like a charity, which, I know they're giving it to the, right groups. And I'm glad about that. But to me, that's kind of the bare minimum, like we put you in there, in positions of power so that you can use that power to actually advance universal goals on the policy level that are going to be helping people live their lives better and easier and less stress free. And, they don't have to worry about where their next meal comes from or their next rent check and all these things. Like, so I'm glad that they do those things. Like, I am happy that they do those things, but, we need more at this point. Like, I think a lot of people are kind of done just accepting crumbs or just accepting the little they're trying to give, their little, just trying to throw to you. People are done with that. And so if you don't agree, stop giving them your money. Do I want to get into politics one day? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I could do it. And I sometimes I laugh thinking about like just what I would, say. And if I had some type of like debate or something like that, how I would just, I mean, if it was Republican, conservative, liberal, whoever, that would be fun. That'd be fun dismantling them, taking them apart. That would be fun. But I don't know. Politics. I don't know. I hate what it does to people. I really do hate what it does to people. This Justin, you're so intelligent. This boomer appreciates you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you too. And I know being like a boomer and being like a lefty is probably tough. You're kind of out of the norm um for your generation. So I'm sure it's got to be tough. Like when I watched Marianne Williams, I don't know if it was an interview or what, but she was just talking about like the hippies, right, of the like 70s and 80s and all that type of stuff. And I'm like, you know, that was kind of the left at the time, and they were kind of so ostracized and pushed, towards the margins. I'm glad it's gotten a lot better, but boomers still run everything. So unfortunately. Well, let's see. Brianna Joy Gray for president as a People's Party candidate. Brianna Joy Gray would be a great politician. I mean, her ability to message is unbelievable. Her ability to frame arguments. I mean, she's just great. I think she should if she wants to run for office one day, she definitely have my support. All right, this chat is moving fast. Let me try and get to all these and then I'll start the show. Great conversation on Graham's channel today. Appreciate all you're doing. We got your back. Hey Mars, thank you so much. I appreciate that super chat. Yeah, we all got to have each other's back because you know what I've come to see since Forced to Vote, even before that, really since the primary, but definitely since Forced to Vote, it's that you know the left. There's probably a few different factions of the left. I think one faction is starting to move closer towards our side, but we're kind of done. Our standard is raised at this point. Like our standard is more so like just tweeting things is great. Like being in support of policies is great. We love that. But we are now to the point where we're like, we need a strategy going forward. We're seeing all these losses. We need some wins. It's not enough to just say, oh, this bill's good enough. We're going to vote for it. No, if it doesn't have any of your big ticket items that you were telling people to vote for Joe Biden because he was going to do these things, if it doesn't have that stuff in it, I'm not going to vote for it. That's what we want. And, I think you saw like Cenk Uygur, coming out saying, if they don't force a vote on minimum wage, they probably won't be forcing any votes in the future. Now, that's what we were saying for force to vote 2, 3, 4 months ago. They've come to kind of the same understanding now, but it's just borne out in evidence. It's empirical fact that the corporate Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Joe Manchin, the corporate politicians, their playbook isn't changing. They're always gonna morality shame you into voting for a bill, and then after a certain amount of times you do that, and you're using the same excuse. A lot of us are just done with that, and so I think the one side that was more so, we're just going to defend, we love having these progressives in there. We're just going to, we're not going to expect them to force votes or, I guess go against be willing to take the ire of the corporate media of, the people like Nancy Pelosi and others in Congress. I think they're starting to understand and come over to our side a little bit more. So I think we're winning that battle. Bro, I was gonna come see you when the Chargers came to Buffalo, but COVID ruined it. Keep grinding, JJ. Go Bills. Donna Martell, thank you so much for the super chat. I know. COVID ruined a lot of things last year. Football, having fans was one of them. Thank you, though. I appreciate that, man. Let's see. Great show with Graham. Thank everybody for coming over from Graham's show. I appreciate that. Graham L with the political vigilante. Great show with Graham. Hope to see you there more often. We need more left wing and progressive minded athletes who can use their platforms for good. Yeah, we were talking about that on Graham's show, and that's 100% true. I think it's difficult because these athletes, like I said, a lot of them aren't very politically astute. Beyond the surface level of like, okay, we understand that the Republicans do this and the Democrats marginally do these things better. Like beyond that, a lot of them, don't dive into politics enough to really have a great understanding of that. And if we just got to get them there because, sports are powerful. Athletes are, have a huge platforms and people love these athletes, kind of just similar to celebrities. Like people love these singers and just entertainers in this country. People kind of idolize them. So if we can get more, athletes on board with this message, which will disproportionately help the communities that we as athletes typically come from, right? So that's the biggest part of that. That's the biggest part of that. Why we need to have more. And then really athletes of the past, very progressive, the Muhammad Ali types, very progressive, very anti-war, and were ostracized at the time heavily. Have you heard of Steve Cox? He ran as an independent left libertarian in California's 39th congressional district and got 8,300 votes after spending only $500 in 2020, and he's running again this cycle. He only spent $500 and he got 8,300 votes. Wow. Yeah, I've seen him on Twitter. Left libertarian. Maybe I'll have a conversation with him. But yeah, that's wild. Only $500. Squidly, thank you so much for the super chat. Exactly. I only give money to people who deserve it, and your show has my full support. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, let's get into the show, because I know y'all have been seeing what's been going on with Andrew Cuomo. One of my first videos for the show was going through the nursing home scandal that Cuomo was obviously involved in. So then, I haven't done a story on him in weeks, but these accusations against him have been kind of percolating, and I wanted to talk about it. And I wanted to talk about that and kind of some of the reactions that we've been seeing from, his defenders, whether it be liberals or, I don't know, you call them homosexuals or whatever. But it's truly been stunning. It truly has been stunning. And I know we love to talk about the hypocrisy of conservatives, rightfully so. I mean, it's brazen. They don't care. Someone like Lindsey Graham will say, we will, we won't we won't let Obama choose a Supreme Court nominee 11 months before the election. Quote me, hear me now, quote me later type thing. And then a few years later, he's doing the same thing. We understand that. We see that. We get it, right? It's there. It's brazen. It's bad. But what we've been seeing so much since Joe Biden got into office, and because I was not, politically aware, I was 11, when Obama took off, or 13. I'm seeing it so much now, and it's unbelievable. Like, you always have these people that will defend their party because they feel like they're on the blue team, and so no matter what, they'll defend their team. And that's what we've been seeing with Cuomo. So let's kind of dive right into it. This is from the AP. Can you guys see that? Is that too small? I'll just read the part that's relevant. Let's see. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is facing allegations that he sexually harassed or behaved inappropriately towards 6 women, including several former staffers in his administration and someone he met purely socially. The accusations range from groping under a woman's shirt and planting unwanted kisses to asking unwelcome personal questions about sex and dating. Creepy. The Democratic governor has said he never touched anyone inappropriately and never made any inappropriate advances, and that no one ever told me at the time that I made them feel uncomfortable. He has called some allegations false. Some? Did he call only some of them false or all of them false? I feel like that's important to know. But it's up to 7 now. Wow. So 7. For someone like Cuomo, it's totally understandable. Like, and I'm definitely for due process. I know of people who have been wrongfully accused of sexual assault, went through the courts and everything. And, obviously that takes 2-3 years. And some of them got, their careers ruined because, these women were lying. And so that definitely happens. I'm not saying that, every single time someone accuses something that it's definitely the case that happened, but there's 7 different women that have come forward. There's probably more. And there's someone like Andrew Cuomo who's in a position of power and feels sort of invincible, right? And for someone like him, who his family's been, at the head of New York State politics for decades, right? So they start to get this feeling of invincibility, and, the stuff this stuff that they're doing, they don't internalize that or see that as unwanted advances or inappropriate groping or whatever. Planting unwanted kisses, like in his mind he must not have thought that was unwanted, and this is what he's saying. But obviously, if you listen to these women, what they're saying is that he has a pattern of doing these things. He has a pattern of taking advantage of his position of power. So yeah, and so this is what most people are talking about, right? And let's see. This is let's share this, because this has kind of been his response. He's kind of doing the whole deny. And it has been wild to actually see that there were some prominent Democrats, even non-progressive Democrats, that came out like and said he should resign. I saw Schumer, Schumer came out, AOC came out, I think Jamal Bowman, Kirsten Gillibrand. So he's definitely feeling the heat. He's definitely feeling the pressure, as he should. He doesn't seem like he's gonna resign. Actually, this is what he said. This is what he said. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has no plans to step down amid increasing allegations of sexual misconduct. This is from Newsweek, saying that while women have a right to come forward, there's also the matter of truth. More than a dozen members of Congress from New York have called for Cuomo to resign, with 7 women now accusing him of sexual misconduct. Allegations range from okay, so we read that already. I won't speculate about people's motives, but I can tell you, as a former attorney general who's gone through this situation many times, there are often many motivations for making an allegation, and that is why you need to know the facts before you make a decision. So he must be saying that he believes these women are lying. He says these women are lying and we shouldn't believe them, and there's other motives behind what's, I guess, motivating these women to come forward at this time. Of course, we'll get to that later, but no one's talking about the real reason Andrew Cuomo should resign, right? And we'll get to that later. Because this is all horrible stuff. This is all horrible stuff. But there's something way worse that he did very recently. That is the real reason, he should resign. So let's see. And like I said, it's been wild to see people defend, like, the defense of him on Twitter from liberals has been pretty incredible. And I've got a few examples for y'all on this. Let's check out what Katie Johnson 2020 said. She says, "Does anyone else think Cuomo is being set up by Donald Trump supporters?" Bruh. Why why does everything have to come back to Trump with these people? Everything has to come back to Trump. This has nothing to do with Trump, other than the fact that when Trump did it, the same people like you were attacking him, rightfully so, saying that he has all these allegations of sexual harassment. He seems to have a pattern of these things. The Access Hollywood tape released. All these things can be fine and true, and they are. But the same thing happens with Andrew Cuomo, and all of a sudden, whoa, he must be getting set up by Donald Trump. Like, this has 20,000 likes and 2,500 retweets. He says Donald Trump needs Cuomo out of office to get his New York cases thrown out. These girls really don't have any hard evidence on him. Plus, none of them said he physically touched them. No wiretaps or phone conversations. Something is very fishy. That's actually blatantly false. There were multiple ones that said he planted unwanted kisses on them and physically groped them. So that's a blatant lie. Now, that has 20,000 likes. Their next response has 1,000 likes. Twitter didn't take that down because that's actually false and misleading information. That's and so you get stuff like that. You get stuff like that, which is gross. It's disgusting. I'm not surprised at all by what he's been accused of. But people like Katie Johnson 2020 will defend people like Cuomo at every turn. Why? Did anyone watch AOC celebrate the COVID relief bill? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that next. I want to get through the rest of this because I have some more great examples just of some of this liberal backlash to these women coming out and accusing, like, how dare they accuse our Lord and Savior Andrew Cuomo. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This was one of my favorites. I am not saying Cuomo is innocent. The allegations warrant full and independent investigation, but I don't recall AOC demanding Bernie resign over tons of harassment claims against him. Booting Cuomo won't get New York Governor AOC or Cynthia Nixon. It will get you GOP, mark my words. So see all the places his mind just went here. So first off, somehow he brings Bernie into this, even though that's another false and misleading information right there. Bernie didn't have any sexual harassment claims or allegations against him. His campaign had a few, and he not only apologized for that, I'm pretty sure he fired those people or something along those lines, but it had nothing to do with Bernie himself. So that's a lie. And then it goes to this, blue-red team duopoly that they think of. Booting Cuomo won't give, so they're saying, oh, getting rid of Cuomo won't give you your lefty New York governor. It's going to get you the GOP, mark my words. As if that's a reason to not remove Cuomo from office. Regardless of who you're going to get after Cuomo, the man needs to be gone from office because of what he did to not only to these women, but to the thousands of grandmas and grandpas he just let die for money, right? And so I want to show y'all this because someone like Andrew Cuomo who would threaten someone in his own state legislature, threaten him on the phone. You don't think someone like that would do this to these women, really? And let's watch what he look. I still got ads. Let's watch this ad real quick. I hate ads. Okay, here we go. Oh, I gotta share the audio. Hold up. I know how to fix this. Now. I got better from last time. It's about improvement, guys. It's about improvement. Here we go. Is this the right one? Oh, this is the left one. Let's do this. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Shout out the Katie Halper show. Y'all know I love Katie Halper, and I love going on her show.
Me too, right? You lost your uncle.
Let me know if you guys can hear
you
that.
talk about that?
Oh, yeah, I did. So in the middle of papers, that was the gist of it, and as he outlined, you didn't hear that because you're not a lawyer, you don't have a law degree, so it's been berating me.
This is the type of stuff that he was saying
ruin
to
my
Ron
life,
Kim.
go out to the public and just take. I was like, what does that even mean? I was like, Governor, hold on, I got the governor on the line.
This is
on the phone.
So amid this scandal, I can hear well. Nice. I'm getting better. I told you guys I'm getting better. Amid these scandals, this nursing home scandal, right? And if you want to learn more about it, go to see my video about Cuomo from the Takeover. But there's this assemblyman, Ron Kim, right? While this is actually all going on in March and April of 2020, he's actually in the legislature. He's seeing these provisions. So basically, Cuomo put a corporate liability shield, meaning that these corporations or these nursing homes that are mostly owned by corporations, they couldn't get sued for anything COVID related, right? So if they had improper, health conditions or whatever, improper PPE, all that stuff, they can't actually get sued by those families for like wrongful death lawsuits, stuff like that. And so this assemblyman, Ron Kim, in the New York State Legislature, he sees this stuff going through. He sees this provision, and they, of course, like politicians do, they hit it all the way like halfway through or late in the budget, which is usually hundreds of pages long. They they slid this provision in, right? So he sees this happening, and at the same time, he sees these people being let back into nursing homes on Cuomo's order without being tested for COVID to make sure they didn't have COVID when they went back in the nursing homes. He released them from the hospital into the nursing homes, or allowed them to be released. And then, obviously COVID ran through these nursing homes and killed so many people. You know what I mean? And so he sees all this happening and he calls it out. He even says later on in this interview that he sent a letter, him and some of his, coworkers or other Congress people, assembly people. They sent a letter to the United Nations because they thought it was a crime against humanity. And that's the type of person we need in politics, right? Because that is a crime against humanity. Because when we see these politicians legislate and do things like Cuomo did that then results in the deaths of people, we're talking about Andrew Cuomo resigned. Andrew Cuomo resigned. He let those people die for money. He should be prosecuted for that. You know what I mean? And so that's what's crazy. So he went out on a limb, and it's going against someone like Cuomo in New York is dangerous, and let's see exactly what, after all this came out, what Cuomo had to say to Assemblyman Ron Kim.
And I thought it was just like a press office. I picked up and they said, "Hold on, I got the governor on the line for you." First time ever he's ever called me. I met him. I hung out with him. I had dinner with him at his house once. First time calling me on the phone. And then there's like a lot of silence for like 5 seconds. I was like, "Governor?"
By the way, this was a great way. I mean, he told this story like I felt like I was in his shoes. Like this is great. Like you imagine. That's basically like he's not his boss, right? The governor's not technically his boss, but he's like the most powerful like state legislature person in New York State. And this is just like wild that he did this to him. But I'm like not surprised in the slightest.
"Governor," and the first words that came out, it was, "Mr. Kim, are you an honorable man?" I was like, what is that? Like, I was like, what does that even mean? And then he just went off for 10 minutes and berating me how he'll, ruin my life, go out to the public and just take me down if I basically don't issue a statement that night, as he outlined. You didn't hear that because you're not a lawyer. You don't have a law degree, so you misheard it. This is what she said, and this is what you're going to write, and this is what you're going to tell the speaker's office to submit to the papers. That was the gist of it, and obviously that was the second time in 1 week they tried to implicate me into the cover up. The first time was in the meeting. Now this time he's asking me to cover up the cover up.
Wow. This is just called him like, no, you didn't hear that. Listen to me. You didn't hear that. This is what you heard. Outlines it for him. This is what you're gonna say. Bruh. Can y'all believe that? Like that should be a much bigger story, right? Like he's calling him, telling him, no, this cover up. I need you to cover up the cover up that people are already uncovering. Like just digging himself a hole. But so Catherine said, Kim's got balls. Bernie, take note. No, but that's the thing, though. You have to be, and this is what Cuomo said. He said, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to ruin your career, right? But if you have, like he's right on this issue. He's 100% in the right. He knows that. Just like progressives are 100% in the right on the policies, the people know it. That's why the polls are so damn good. So he's like, you know what? Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? You're going to ruin me? Bruh, there's whole scandal is going to ruin you, and I'm going to take it to the press. And we'll see who wins. See, you got to be willing to play the game, right? You got to be willing to play the game. Because if you're going to give me a like this is almost like the Streisand effect, right? Like Cuomo's like trying to cover it up and actually makes it even worse because then this guy goes out and pretty much puts one of the nails in his coffin. But you got to be willing to fight. You got to be willing to go out there and have a public fight because I'm right about these things, and I'm putting stock in the fact that the American people agree with me. Then the people in New York, they agree with me, Andrew Cuomo. They don't agree with you. And I've got 15,000 families who I can definitely convince that what you did was corrupt and you should, be more, definitely resign, but more than that, in my opinion. Catherine G. Dub. Catherine G. W. I might call you Catherine G. Dub. I like that. Nice career you got there, Mr. Kim. Be ashamed if something happened to it. Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's Cuomo. I want to show y'all something from I follow this girl, Ashley Stevens, _acumen, and I think her tweets are great. And I'm going to show y'all one because she's pretty much always spot on. And this is what she said. Let me see if I can get it bigger. Hold up. Oh, it's okay. Okay. Liberals were giving Governor Cuomo awards, writing sexual and political fan fiction. That did happen, unbelievably, while saying Governor DeSantis was a monster. That's the governor of Florida, who, and this is the problem. Like, okay, yes, you can acknowledge that Governor DeSantis is a monster. He's keeping everything open. He's acting like COVID doesn't exist. Of course, people are going to, as a result of his decision, right? As a result of his decision, the people are going to die from COVID as a result of that decision. But when it comes to Cuomo, like Ashley's saying, all while Cuomo was killing his own citizens, cutting Medicare, which he also did, cut Medicare at the beginning of the pandemic. And he said, and he also cut schooling or funding for schools, didn't cut the NYPD budget or the police budget in the state. Didn't do that. Using prisoners to make hand sanitizer and also lying about the numbers and getting his his secretaries and all these people to cover it up for him. I mean, the web of lies and just everything with this story is unbelievable. She says, y'all are twinsies. Exactly. It's and this is what's so frustrating for me. It's like, okay, you can understand that conservatives have been duped by Republican politicians, who claim to have their best interests in mind and always legislate against that. And I'm like, okay, I agree with you on that. But how do you not, can you not understand and acknowledge that you've also been duped by the Democratic Party into thinking that they're actually going to double your wage from $7.25 to $15 anytime in the next few years when they have complete control of government? Are you not duped into that same thinking? You are. 100% you are. And so it's not enough anymore to just, you can call out the Republicans all you want, conservatives, great. Okay. I'm going to actually try and call out you so you can get on board with me and we can at least try and maybe fix this party. I mean, it doesn't really seem like they definitely don't want to be fixed, and it almost doesn't seem fixable at this moment. But I'm trying to convince you that supporting Democrat, and it's also frustrating because Democrats sell it like, oh, we as a party will be better for you and your family, right? But then when it comes to something like the $15 minimum wage, it's like, oh no, that's just Joe Manchin. That's just Christian cinema. Wait, so when there's something you want to push forward or in the legislation you want to celebrate, it's all the Democrats got this done. But when it's something that doesn't get done, then it's not the whole party's fault. No, of course not. It's the whole party. It's just Joe Manchin or it's just Kirsten Sinema. Yeah, but the rest of y'all let that happen. Nobody was lobbying Joe Manchin. Nobody was withholding votes for a bill so it doesn't pass to make sure that the public's ire was on Joe Manchin because they promised $15 and Joe Manchin and Christian and all these people were blocking it. It's just those few people. But when it's something good, it's all of us Democrats. Vote for us Democrats as a party. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And people are hip, right? Like I can't imagine. Sometimes I imagine I'm like 40 or 50 years old but I have like the same brain, same mindset. Imagine doing this for 20, 30 years. 20, 30 years you've been trying to change this party. 20, 30, 40 years you've been voting trying to change this party. And it's those like, so how are you going to tell those people who, maybe they're 50 years old, been trying to change a party, working 2 jobs, have kids, and they don't got time to go vote on Tuesday, because they got 2 damn jobs. They working 2 minimum wage jobs, which y'all don't even want to give them $15 an hour. So maybe they only have to work 1, and that's still not enough. But then you want to blame these people for the reason that you get Trump, or for the reason that you don't have more Senate seats or more House seats. That's why when people try and say that, I just say, come on. Like, I know my convictions. I know I'm right on these things. Why do I know I'm right? Because the rest of the world does it. I'm not some super smart intellectual individual who's figured out quantum theory. No, everywhere else does it. Their results are better doing this policy. Therefore, that policy is better than the policy we do here. Period. These people, like, you see how frustrating. You see how frustrated I get with this stuff, right? Because it's not fair. It's really not fair that people here work so damn hard just to get nothing. To get nothing back for it. There's people overseas work 1 regular ass job and can live out their life perfectly comfortably simply because they have a better government than we do. 55 here, been trying to change the DNC since the 1980s, and I'm done. Like, I'm 24 and I'm already freaking done. I'm already done. But yeah, I mean, what else was I gonna show y'all on this? I guess I was gonna show this. And we all know that this is the real reason. Why can I not find it now? Of course I can't find it at this time. Oh, here we go. Right. This is the real reason right here. This is the real reason why Andrew Cuomo should not just resign, he should be prosecuted. And it's because Cuomo helped his donor shield. This was from the Daily Poster. They do great original reporting. Cuomo helped his donors shield nursing home execs from consequences, and now victims' families say they are being locked out of the courts and denied legal recourse. A deterrent to corporate malfeasance has disappeared amid 15,000 nursing home deaths. That's 15,000 people that, for money, he knew he was putting them in harm's way, but for money, he said, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Fuck it. Like, is that not wild? And you telling me that guy shouldn't be prosecuted for that? So now those families who had to experience the loss of a grandparent, which I also had to experience, so I understand, recently because of COVID, I experienced the same damn thing. So you got these families who have a legal right to, try and hold these nursing homes accountable for, the malfeasance that they had. But because now all of a sudden they don't have the right. Why? Because in the middle or back of some budget bill that no one was really paying attention to amid a pandemic, Andrew Cuomo slipped in a provision to make sure you could never do that. You could never get some recourse for losing a family member due to corporate malfeasance. And then they try and spin, well, they're old, they maybe had some pre-existing condition or something, that made it so that they were more vulnerable. Okay, but they still died from COVID-19. That's what they died from. They didn't die from diabetes, or they didn't die from, having bad lung or whatever. They died from COVID-19, and they didn't need to get COVID-19. So that's a bullshit argument as well. Don't let them devalue the lives of your grandparents because it's like we're protecting Andrew Cuomo, one singular person who's been in power for decades, or his family's been in power for decades. He's been in power for a long time. We're doing all that to protect that one person. He's one person, and he's not a good person at that. Okay. If y'all were in office, will y'all have done that? Would y'all have done that? I wouldn't have done that. He did it though, and now he won't resign. He still won't resign. And then, hold on, I gotta find. Let me find, because I want to show y'all this. So give me 1 sec here so I can find this. Did y'all see Nancy Pelosi? What did she say? She said something about like he has to look in his heart. He has to like look in his heart. Let me find it. Okay. I got it. I got you guys. I'm getting better. I'm telling you, I'm getting better with this. Share audio. Here we go. Let's watch this. I didn't plan on having this in the show, but oh, hold on. Can y'all hear that?
And what I'm saying is the governor should look inside his heart.
Oh, hold on. I took it off. Give me 1 sec. All right, here we go.
I think we should see the results of the, but he may decide. And there was, hopefully this result will be soon. And what I'm saying is the governor should look inside his heart. He loves New York, to see if he can govern effectively. I think we should.
I doubt that he pushed back on that at all. He should decide. No, he shouldn't decide shit. Right, look, as if they have hearts. Literally. He shouldn't decide anything. He shouldn't decide a thing. The court should be deciding everything. And we went from Me Too in like 2016, 2017, the same thing with Trump, to now. Would they ever have said, oh, Trump should look inside of his heart and decide? Oh, Brett Kavanaugh should look inside of his heart and decide whether he can effectively govern or effectively be a judge? No, they weren't saying that. But when it comes to Cuomo, now he should decide. No, he should resign, and he should be also prosecuted. Nancy Antoinette, literally. So, okay, that's it for that. Sorry, I got carried away a little bit, but that needs to come out, you know. Let me catch up on some of the chat. Jay Bird D, thank you so much. Wow, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. This is thrilling. I'm so glad that you have your own YouTube channel now. Thank you. I just found out today. Oh, well, thanks for coming by. We just give you the real news. We give you real news. Almost a 10K. Nice, Justin. Thank you. Appreciate that. Rant, amigo. Yeah. You have to sometimes. He's like, it's crazy. It's crazy that we live in a society where these things just go unnoticed. They don't go talked to, they go untalked about, and it affects real people's lives. And that's why I really wanted to dive really deep, not only to stuff like this, but I get, on the channel, I dive deep into policies, state policies like whole Washington and New York Health Act and CalCare, which can really affect people's lives. And it's actually something we can maybe win on, right? Like we, rant about national politics a lot, not much we could do to change it, but locally we can do a lot to change things. So I'm looking forward to organizing here in California for CalCare, which is single payer healthcare in California. Same thing going on in New York and Washington, other states. So I try and do some of that, but I've been digging through the American Rescue Plan. Obviously, that's going to directly affect a lot of people. I want to let y'all know, because I do a lot of research on it. Let y'all know what I find. And so we might as well transition into. We're going to be covering AOC's Instagram Live. Did y'all see that? How many of y'all watched AOC's Instagram Live? I watched some of it. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but now this came out with this, their little video on Twitter. And we're going to go through, they kind of chopped it down. And so it's like 7 minutes. We'll just go through that. And I'll let y'all know my thoughts on that. You should check out Australian Medicare if you can. It's all possible. Yeah, isn't Australian Medicare? It's like I think Tulsi Gabbard ran on like a similar plan of that. But it's like not. There's still private health insurance, but it's like everyone pays in and is automatically enrolled in the national health insurance, I think, and then you can still buy and purchase. I think you still buy and purchase private insurance. I think that's what it is. Justin, I'm a cancer survivor. I went through bankruptcy because of this. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and to you though, like they don't have an answer. Democrats don't have an answer when you say something like that. They don't have an answer to you. You know, they'll be like, oh, well, you know, Obamacare has this stipulation and that stipulation. Did you not access this thing or that thing? One, like the bureaucracy that you have to go through just to get these things, right? And then they tell someone like you, oh, you need to vote for Democrats because of healthcare. Where you're like, well, I already went through bankruptcy because of I didn't have the money to pay for healthcare. And so do hundreds of thousands of other people every single year. So what are you going to say to those particular people who in their lives, it hasn't mattered whether there was a Democrat or a Republican in office in their own lives? Because it's like they always want you to vote for someone else, which is I'm fine doing that, but and I think a lot of people are, but to a point though, right? To a point. And you can't always be voting for someone else's best interest. You need sometimes for your own self-interest to be represented. And so they don't have anything to say to you. Nico House and the MCS Mikasa Sukasa Network. What's up, Nico? What's good? What's good? Appreciate the super chat. My guy. So yeah, let's dive into it. Let's dive into it. I think you guys are ready. I am too. Let's get into it. So here we go. Full screen. I think you guys should be able to hear that if you've heard everything so far. Okay, first off, I do want to say, okay. Rabbi Red Eye 1, thank you so much for the super chat. I pledge allegiance to the party of the United Corporations of America and to the centrist and moderate Republicans, Joe Biden under malarkey, indefensible. It disappeared. Indefensible with Nancy Pelosi and no Medicare for all. Literally, bro. Literally, like, yeah. I mean, we basically live in the United Corporations of America. I mean, it's true. It's true. So as far as this video, I used to really appreciate videos like this from AOC because I felt like it was giving me an inside look right into like what was going on in Congress. And I remember when she first went through like the orientation, she was talking about how like they had lobbyists come talk to us and all this type of stuff. And it was really exposing. It really was exposing like what went on like behind the scenes in Congress, right? And they always say, oh, you don't know anything about Congress. And like, I think for a lot of people, it felt like, oh, AOC and, Rashid Tlaib and Omar, they're all in there and they're going to tell us like what goes on and how we can fight back against it, all these things. And so videos like this that she used to put out that would explain like how things worked and all that type of stuff, like her Instagram lives when they first were going on I think it was really like, I liked them. I'm sure a lot of other people liked them. Because I felt like I was getting in kind of to what was going on. But like James Jerkowitz says, yeah, sick of the tweeting too, do something. And that's what it is. And so to them, they remember, Pramila Jayapal called this bill a win. And so this is kind of the message that progressives have been pushing out there, that this is a win, and this is a win for progressives, people like myself, yourself, that really want to see real change in this country. They're calling this bill a win. Now, if you've seen my videos on my YouTube channel, I kind of expose how that's BS. I mean, marginally being better or having a marginally better bill than the Republicans isn't enough. It's not enough anymore, right? And so if your my standards are here, your standards because of the Republicans are here, right? So there's a difference in what you consider a win and what I consider a win. There's nothing in this bill that is, a redistributive policy, right? Like there's not a single redistributive policy in this entire bill. The only redistributive policy that we were screaming for, progressives were screaming for, people were organizing for, yelling for, rallying for, was $15 an hour. $15 an hour, bare minimum, because that fight started in 2012. And they weren't talking about giving it to us till 2025. At that point, I think Ben Spielberg had a tweet that said by the time they raised it to $15, the inflationary value of that $15 from when it started in 2012 would be like $11. But see, that's the problem with incrementalism and gradualism, right? So that's the only one that we as progressives even expected, right? We understand we have Joe Biden, et cetera, et cetera. But he did signal, right? He signaled support for it. He signaled support for it. And so did people. I mean, it passed the House, of course, with a Republican Senate. They knew it wasn't going to get passed, but they passed the House before Biden got elected. And to me, I feel dumb too. I feel dumb because I was telling people like, yeah, I mean, I was keeping it real. I was keeping it real with people, but I'm like, Biden, he says he's going to give the $2,000 checks. It's in massive, easy winner. Why not just do that? I'm sure he'll do that. And he has signaled, support for $15 minimum wage. We'll see. I always put that caveat out there. We'll see. But I was like, yeah, he'll probably do the $15 minimum wage. Like, it's passed the House. He supports it, et cetera, et cetera. We didn't get either of those things. Neither. Like, and the minimum wage was the only thing we expected as progressives. So I don't know how you can call this bill a win if our only big ticket item in a massive $1.9 trillion legislation was left out. Like, to me, there's no way that can be a win. And that comes back to standards, right? Like, I'm sure there was plenty of Democrats who wanted the child tax credit. Okay. Maybe y'all pushed it up like a few $100s. Like, I appreciate y'all doing that work, right? And making it slightly better, but that's still not a redistributive policy. And it's still means tested. It's like, if you really want to pull those children out of poverty, pay their parents higher wages. Not a win. It's not a win. So let's that was a long way of saying I used to really like these videos from AOC. But I have to criticize her on this because I think it's bad messaging to the progressive base. It has nothing to do with emotions. Like, none of my, like, it has nothing to do with my emotions towards AOC, what I feel about her, her intentions, fraud squad. It has nothing to do with that. In my mind, it's about strategy. It's about results. It's about outcome. And this bill is without the results that we needed to be in this bill if we're looking for a better society, right? And that started, and the only thing we really could have got out of this bill was a $15 minimum wage, and it was not in this bill. Period. That's it. Like that. There's not much else to say. So let's take a look at what she had to say on her Instagram Live. Not $2,000 checks. They're not recurring checks. Remember where we need to frame these arguments. They're not recurring checks. And if you don't feel like you could have pushed for that, well, then you at least needed to push for 2,000. So, sound. My bad. I hate how I have to click this option every single time. Let me do this again. Share audio. There we go. Got you. My bad. Thank you in the chat. I appreciate it. Let me start it over.
We passed the COVID bill, everybody.
Should be good.
We got it. Checks are coming out. Did we get everything we wanted? Absolutely not. But did we get things that are going to change people's lives?
No. I mean, no. Did you get things that are going to change people's lives? Like, what is your standard for changing someone's life? Like, if you can say, and this is the problem with means testing, right? Because you can say, oh, okay, I give a family, like they put out a family of 4 in Massachusetts or whatever is going to get X amount of dollars in relief. Great. I'm happy those people are getting the relief, but I'm talking about the essential worker who worked the entire pandemic, so didn't get unemployment, was making their $8, $9, $10 an hour, right? I'm talking about that person who's going to get $1,400 and that's it, right? Like that's so when you means test, like for the person you say you can help, I can already tell you 5, 10 people who got absolutely, screwed over with this bill. Like that's not just that's fact. I can even show you people that got $600. Oh, okay, we'll get into that. I'm gonna keep. I can't stop the video that much. We'll get into that.
Absolutely, yes.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. And if you feel like that's truth in your mind, I don't think you have. I don't think you have the right standard in your head. Like doubling someone's wage permanently actually changes their life. Giving them a one-time payment of $1,400 and then, people don't say like, yes, it's a $3,000 child tax credit. It used to be $1,400. You could fully refund it it used to be $2,000, could be fully funded to $1,400. And now it's $3,000 and $3,600 depending on how old. But it's not going from 0 to 3,000, right? So a lot of these people were getting $1,400. Maybe it wasn't monthly, but it was a lump sum. That's not transformative to me. Is it better than it used to be? Yes. That's not transformative though. So I don't want people to like be lied to like that this was some transformative bill, this huge progressive transformative legislation, and it wasn't. And because it's so means tested, you show me, a family that was helped with this bill, I can easily show you another family who deserved to be equally as helped, who was screwed over by this bill.
So if you are an adult that makes $75,000 or less as an individual, as a married couple up to $150K, I believe, then you will be getting a stimulus check. If you make more than $80K, you will not be receiving a stimulus check.
That's a huge thing. Like that's a big thing. So my dad, who when we were growing up was a single father of 3, middle class, grew up in inner city Detroit, got his degree, went to, technical school, engineering school, now is making a middle class income, $95,000, $100,000 a year, whatever. That person doesn't deserve any relief, none. And I mean, that's that. I mean, my dad, after the financial crash, he was struggling 2009, 2010 with 3 kids. You're telling me someone like that doesn't deserve a stimulus check, or someone making even less, $80,000, $85,000, $87,000? They don't. So now middle class Joe, that doesn't exist anymore. The middle class stops at $80,000. Anyone above that is. So why is that not in the bill? Like 95K with 3 kids is a lot. It's not. I mean, and if you live in all the costs that come with having kids, I mean, just the cost that comes with just living in a city by yourself. Like that's a problem that they gave less people money than Trump. Less people. Why? Like, you gonna let the corporate Democrats hold their ground on giving money to less people, means testing it more, but we won't hold our ground and go out to the public and say, I'm not signing this bill until they increase the threshold back to $100,000 and make it $2,000. Corporate media, please come after me. Please come after me. And make sure you show the video where I'm saying I want people to get more help.
Again, this was a huge point of contention for us. What did we do?
It was a huge point of contention, but they rolled over. Like the logical conclusion of that was that, well, let's see what the exchange that she said that they got for this.
We said, okay, you know what? If you're going to try to take this away from people, which we don't agree with, what we
that's a little too laissez-faire for me.
And is that the first $10,200 in unemployment income that people got in 2020 should be tax-free. And so we won that. Even
See, bro, that kind of reminded me of the like the force the vote with the Pelosi thing with the PAYGO, the COVID-19 PAYGO waivers. So it's like, okay, there's COVID, there's PAYGO waivers. Who were those PAYGO waivers instituted by? Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. Okay. So you negotiated, you use this point, of leverage to negotiate COVID-19 pandemic waivers for PAYGO and for climate change, right? But that's not enough. Like that's 2 steps backwards because now we have PAYGO to worry about. 1 step forward, we got a narrow COVID exemption, right? So we're saying that as a result, or instead of having the checks go to as many people, or it should have been more. Like, why would you not give it to more people than Trump gave it to? But even let's say the same, like the 75 to 100,000 fade out. Why do we have to negotiate tax forgiveness, which should have been there in the first place? Like that's what we're bartering this for. So something that we should have already had, that Democrats should already be for. Like, well, if you're a working class party, shouldn't you be for making it tax forgivable? It shouldn't be 10,000, be all of it tax forgivable. Why? Because you're unemployed and you needed this money to help you stay alive. Why would we tax it back? Not only that, but this is unemployment money that we are giving you from the government's revenue or whatever, which comes from your taxes. So it's almost like you're getting double taxed on it. It doesn't even make any sense. So that shouldn't be, that's not like an even exchange, right? Like that's us as progressives losing ground. And so to me, that's why, like, that's not really, I appreciate you, saying that, you're going to fight, you're fighting for these things, right? But that's not like, that's not a good exchange. If that's all we got from it, it's just not good enough.
though they brought it and they said 1,400, what we pushed back with was, okay, if you're going to do that, then we need to include dependents and we need to include adult dependents. So while we wanted it to be
Which was good.
$2K
Good
for
that
all,
adult
what we
dependents
were
were
able
included.
to do is that in the bill.
Oh, my bad. I meant to pause it. So adult dependents obviously should have already been in the bill, because a lot of people who go to college are already in debt, probably meaning because their parents can't afford to like pay for their expenses. So they should have got it anyway. So it's like, why is that? The question is, why do y'all want to give less help to people? Let's have that discussion in the public eye, because that's the real issue here. So I'm not going to exchange and negotiate with you so you can give less money or money to less people. And I'm going to say, okay, no, I'm going to come back with dependents. I'm going to say, well, why are you trying to give less money to people? Put dependents in there and make it the full phase out and make it $2,000, or we're not voting for it. Put the $15 minimum wage in there, or we're not voting for it. But if there's no stipulation, if there's no consequence, then they're going to continue to just, debate you and negotiate with you on a level of, what you get is something we should have already put in the bill because we're the party of the working class and we're, it's a pandemic and this is relief.
Is that even though it was 1,400, we were able to bring a lot of people from $0 to $1,400. So everything from bun in the oven to 17 years old, you will get recurring checks this year, starting 90 days from now. Between the time you start getting your recurring checks and the end of the year, you will get $3,000 per child above the age of 6 and up to the age of 17. And if you have a child 6 or under, it is $3,600.
So on that point, I mean, I've talked about the child tax credit a lot. And I think that's good. I mean, I think that the tax credit is good. Like I said, I think it's better if you just increase that parent's wages. right? Like, but see, that's an actual redistributive policy, and that's actually going to affect a lot of people. The child tax credit is going to affect people, making from 0 to 80K, or I think it might be 0 to 100. But they're going to, great. I'm glad those people, and they're trying to like brand it as a UBI for kids. Well, I mean, you can't say it's a UBI because it's not universal. And, I don't know. I want to do more research because I'm not like a tax expert, but I don't know if like, if you owe on your taxes, if it's going to come out of that. I'm not exactly sure. But, that's kind of the thing that's been celebrated the most, the cutting child poverty in half. Y'all know how I feel about that. What about the other half? And those numbers are also based on this idea that a family of 4 making $27,000 is not in poverty. So that that standard, or that whatever barometer you're using for cutting it in half is bullshit. It's based on like a family of 4 making $40,000 isn't in poverty. You know how hard it is to live on $40,000 by yourself, let alone with 2 or 3 kids.
Unemployment was set to expire like 3 days from now. We have extended it $300 every week through September.
And that's actually not totally true. It's through September 7th, I believe. They actually let Joe Manchin negotiate them down 3 weeks. Like just cut, like trimming the fat. Like why? Why are you trimming anything? They originally had it August, then it went to September, then Joe Manchin, he got it down from through September to September 7th. Also, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's half. Are we gonna conveniently forget that Trump was giving people $600 a week in unemployment? This is half. This is literally half. Like, there's an argument to be made that certain people received more direct relief from Trump because he was giving people. I mean, he gave them, yes, it was $1,200, and for kids, I think it was $600. But I mean, like I said, it depends on who you're talking to. So if you're unemployed, no kids, you got the $1,200 check from Trump, which was less, and then you got $1,400, which was more from Biden. But you're getting literally half monthly, and this is over a course of 5 or 6 months. You're getting half of what Trump gave you. That's not something we should celebrate. There's no way that people should have been getting any less from Biden than they got under Trump for unemployment. So just again, to me, that's just not like, that's not a win. That's not a win. And I believe they originally had it at $400 anyway. Then they got negotiated down to $300. Why?
If you lost a loved one due to the COVID-19 pandemic last year, and you incurred funeral expenses, burial expenses, any expense for putting your loved one to rest, we will pay you back up to $7,000 in expenses.
That's like, I mean, that's good. That's good. I know a lot of people aren't even having funerals because of COVID, but I mean, it's good that they're going to reimburse people. That's going to be more relief, it feels like, than they're getting from the rest of the bill. So it's just, yeah, I don't know. That one's interesting. I'm glad that they're helping people. They're paying people back for those.
In this bill, if you have COBRA, it will be paid for, your premium will be paid for 100% until about September. So you don't need to pay COBRA anymore. If you get your health insurance off the exchange, there are really important changes that mean you will pay less money and that it will not be as expensive for you. The federal government is also going to cover a larger share of Medicaid expenses for states that haven't expanded through the ACA.
This one I might have to go off on because, well, hold on. Before I go off on it, let me I'm gonna listen to AOC herself because she's kind of the one who, you know, who oh wait, hold on. I hate that you have to click that option every time. But I'll learn. Here we go. Where'd it go? Here we go. All right. So let's take it from AOC herself. This is why this part of the bill actually makes me the most upset, because there was a real leverage point here for Democrats. You know, there was reports that came out that said, you know, Biden was going to do these COBRA subsidies or whatever, but Bernie was pushing for a Medicare expansion, which is obviously much cheaper, obviously much better. But I didn't hear nothing. I mean, there was progressive media talking about it. People in progressive left circles were talking about it, but no one was talking about that. And so this is the result of not fighting Biden, pushing him left on something where Bernie wanted to expand Medicare and he wanted to do these COBRA subsidies, which is a huge giveaway to health insurance companies. And it's wasteful. It costs sometimes almost twice as much as Medicare and Medicaid. So let's listen to what AOC had to say about COBRA.
COBRA. We should not defend it. I don't think that Democrats, look at all these people. Everyone says no one likes COBRA. No one likes COBRA. We should not defend it. I don't think that Democrats should make their brand and say, hey, you know what's great? COBRA. No, it's not. No, it's not great. COBRA shouldn't even exist. It should not even exist. We should have systems that are able to guarantee people health care without making them go broke.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree, which is why I'm so upset about, you know, her coming on and talking about COBRA and defending it. COBRA is a huge giveaway, massive giveaway to health insurance companies. And we know that. Everyone's hip to that. People have used COBRA, understand that COBRA is you know, it's just a ripoff. And let's see what okay. I saw this tweet. I'm having trouble pulling it up, but I think it was like the Democrats shelled out $52 billion from $52 billion for these subsidies. You know how much money that could have went to helping small businesses, better funding schools, right? I mean, it could have went to anything, more direct relief checks, anything. But they use that to, you know, completely fund, you know, these health insurance companies who pay them. So, I mean, it works out for them, works out well for them. And then also they talk about the healthcare premium subsidies. I mean, if you've seen my channel, I've talked about this, but there was nothing in there about deductibles. Yes, it capped premiums at 8.5%, but there was nothing in there about deductibles. Some of these deductibles are still $6,000, $7,000 on some of these plans, which means effectively you don't have health insurance, right? There's still copays. There's nothing in there about prescription drugs, nothing, just premiums, right? So again, small marginal step forward, huge boon, huge win for health insurance companies. Like, you know, I don't agree. I'm sorry, I don't agree. And it's only through September, which I just recently learned. But if it's only through September, so after September, do y'all have a plan on making that, like, you know, people are still going to be struggling in a world of hurt. You know, there's still going to be people out of work, people just getting back to work. People can't afford $800, $900 a month COBRA plans. So just again, Band-Aid on a bullet wound, especially when it comes to healthcare. And me as a, you know, staunch Medicare for All activist, I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate you, you know, propping up COBRA, maybe to people who don't know much about COBRA or how it works, as if fully funding it through September is some huge win when it's simply not.
If your state has been cutting back services, if they are not hiring firefighters, if they stopped construction on bridges, you know, if your school is struggling to reopen because they aren't able to make the infrastructure investments necessary, there is money here to help states not cut off their services or restart their services and not have to lay off a ton of people.
There actually was, that was probably one of the better provisions of the bill. I think they saved like 1 million pensions or something like that, which was good. And then there is more state and local funding in this bill, obviously, than the Republican bill. Now, to me, that's not a good barometer because the Republicans are beyond the pale when it comes to legislating for working people. So I don't really put this bill in relation to that bill very often. But I mean, you could have given even more money to that if you didn't have wasteful COBRA spending and stuff like that, right? So, but that was good. That was a good thing. That was in the bill, state and local funding.
We all want schools to reopen, but we don't want to put people at risk. And so what this allows us to do is create a path that is as safe as we can make it to help schools reopen safely. And there's no mandate in this bill, so it's still up to your community and leadership.
This is a big one I want to talk about.
$28 billion in grants for restaurants, free money, because we know that hospitality, restaurants, bars, venues got hit especially hard during the pandemic. And so they're on top of PPP, there's extra relief targeted to hospitality. And as someone who comes from the hospitality world, that worked in waitressing and bartending and venues, it's just, it's really close to our hearts, especially in New York City. So we're really, really excited to have that provision included in the bill.
Okay, so that I've done a lot of digging, and I actually just released a video on my channel about this, about the small business part. Bernie had it on his infographic. A lot of them have been saying, relief for small businesses, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this independent grants to restaurants and $28 billion, I think that's great. Now, is that enough? I don't think it is. I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but that PPP money, which I'm sure a lot of it went to small, business and restaurants, was not nearly enough. So the 28 bill, I don't know if that's enough. I think we're gonna have to wait and see on that. But I didn't see much in talking about PPP or re-upping PPP. So I initially thought that they just put like $7 or $8 billion into PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, which is supposed to be for small businesses. But what I found was there's actually about $140 billion that hasn't been spent from the PPP from, the last two relief bills or whatever. And so I kind of then went to, oh, wow, okay. So they must just be using that particular amount that hasn't been doled out yet to give out, so they don't have to put in the bill. Then I found out that in the bill, there's a provision that literally allows state lobbying groups to access that funding, that PPP funding, which just makes my mind go to, okay, so how are we ensuring that the same thing that happened under Republicans doesn't happen under this bill, which is you get companies that are much bigger than small businesses that are accessing these funds, which starves the actual small businesses of these funds, and therefore they end up having to close down because they can't, they get denied for relief or whatever. And not to mention that a majority of minority-owned businesses, that's Latino, like Hispanic businesses and Black businesses, they were like last in line to get access to a lot of this this money anyway. So we're not even to mention that, right? Not even to mention the minority owned businesses that have been getting, small businesses that have been getting screwed. There's no provision in this bill to target that relief to the people that were shorted on the other relief on the other bills, on the relief money that got doled out before. And there's a way for lobbying groups to steal money from this fund as well. Like, that's BS. And so that's another thing that I don't think you can just claim that you're helping small businesses, in a huge manner or fashion, just, with the way you've kind of written these provisions into this legislation. Now, whether that state and local funding is going to go to help small businesses in those states, that's not up to, I don't think that's not up to the federal government, nor is that up to, I guess just, the federal government. It's up to the state by state government. So that all depends. But
before everyone gets ahead of themselves, there is not student loan cancellation in this bill, but there is a
Why not?
provision that feels like an Easter egg, which I think gives us some hope. There is a tax provision tucked away that says if your student loans get canceled,
They won't.
that
What's like what's our plan on actually getting Joe Biden, who could do it unilaterally, to stop abdicating his duty and pushing it to Congress, which is not going to go through Congress, not going to pass through Congress. You, Joe Biden, have the ability. When are we going to start, mounting some type of pressure campaign to Joe Biden to cancel cancel this debt? So, putting it in the bill is almost just, it's debt. Like, I'm glad, one, it shouldn't be taxed. Like, again, that's why would you cancel someone's debt? Because, they can't pay it back because they don't have the money, because, the interest rates are ridiculous, and Joe Biden, your president, made sure they can't default on student loans. It's with you till you die. Thanks, Joe Biden. What that's you should. There's no way those people should have to pay taxes on that student debt cancellation anyway, right? So that's another thing that we understand that's bare minimum, right? So are we gonna hold up bills to try and get, like, are we gonna do anything? Are we gonna do anything? Or are we just gonna slip this provision in the bill that should already be there, of course, just off common sense, and then, act like that it's some huge thing? Like, people still have student debt that they have to pay. Like, if this was accompanied with, okay, we have a plan to get Joe Biden to, cancel that student debt. Here's what we're gonna do. We need your help. We need to organize, and we're gonna tweet out, and we're gonna have rallies, and we're gonna get Joe Biden to cancel this debt because he can do it unilaterally. Now, if it was accompanied with that, I'd be like, amazing, let's go. I'm with you. Let's do it. It's my off season. Maybe I'll fly to DC. Let's go. I'm down for it. But it can't just be, oh, we put this little nugget in the bill, if, which probably is a big if, because Joe Biden doesn't support it, and, you're not going to get Joe Manchin to support something like that. That's a big freaking if, right? Like, so I think this part kind of had a lot of people upset, and I understand.
at cancellation, you don't have to pay taxes on that cancellation. There's no student debt cancellation in the bill. So
That felt a little that felt like a little not like insulting, but like that was kind of awkward, right? Am I tripping, or was that like awkward?
this provision that's tucked in, I think, tells us, like, if you care about student debt cancellation, it's
Patronizing. Yeah, exactly.
You
Patronizing.
need to mobilize, and now is
Thank
the
you, Billy.
time to organize, to create the political pressure, because in there, tucked away, is almost like a little, someone's paving the path.
Corporate giveaway to Cobra. A corporate giveaway to insurance companies. Subsidized with your taxpayer dollars. That's what's in the bill. Not student debt cancellation. Condescending. Yeah. Yeah. Gaslighting. It's all those things. This is frustrating.
A lot of stuff that there is left to be desired, that we need to build power to get, but the way that we
The thing with okay, yes, we always, of course, need to organize more, but people have been organizing, and there has been a lot of organizing done. Let's not devalue the organizing that's already been done, especially for things like Fight for 15, where you get to a point where major, super majority of people in the country support it. Things like Medicare for all in the Democratic Party, 9 out of 10 Democrats, even 5 out of 10 Republicans. So we organized to get to this point. Now, this is where you help us push it past the finish line. but then it always comes back on us to organize. But, you know, people have been doing that. And people organized all summer for BLM. And we got Joe Biden, who said he's going to fund the police more, yelled at civil rights leaders, and is just completely excused by everyone for writing the crime bill and being the modern architect of mass incarceration. So that's what's frustrating about saying just we need to organize, because people have been doing this and people are a little tired and a little, you know, there's a lot of other stuff going on. So we'll organize. We need people that are in positions of power to have a call for us and specifics for us. And, we'll stand with you 100%. But, that's why we wanted y'all in there, because we felt like y'all were organizers, and we're going to go into Congress and use your platform to organize more, and then use that, that populace of people that are organizing with you to stand up to these politicians like Nancy Pelosi, like Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, even Joe Biden. That's why we put y'all there, and we were so excited. And so that's why people are upset. I want to know if they understand why people are upset, right? Like, do they even get it? Like anything that would be better if they were kind of sympathetic to like the fact that people are like tired of just waiting around. And we appreciate that y'all support the right policies and use your, fundraising coffers to give money to places like Texas, and give money to these groups and fund. Like I am a person that when you're doing something to help people, I really appreciate it. And I want to let you know how much I appreciate that, because you didn't have to necessarily do that. But that's the bare minimum standard, and it's almost at this point, the standard's past that, right? We need more. We need y'all there to actually challenge the powerful. And that's what we don't feel that y'all are doing. And people are starting to wonder why. And so I hope that they can understand that sentiment that people have, considering, what people have been experiencing in the world right now. I think that was pretty much it.
Is by acknowledging our achievements. A lot of fight ahead. We have a lot of work ahead, but this is major.
I mean, yeah, I'm always one to appreciate optimism, but there really is, there's just nothing in that bill that's major. Like, for specific people, because they mean that's it. For specific people and certain families, yes, it could be major. But you can't universally say that this bill was major. You just can't do that. And that was $1.9 trillion. Like, they don't pump those bills out every other day. So we needed to have gotten some real progressive wins, especially in a must-pass bill, when you have, a president with a new mandate who's immensely popular. That's what Joe Biden's poll numbers say. He's immensely popular, and this bill is immensely popular. And that's why we needed y'all to press to get some of this stuff in that bill. Where do we go from here? I don't know. Like, the next reconciliation bill will be infrastructure. I think Bernie's trying to get it going right away. I don't know when, Pelosi and the rest of Schumer and Biden, I don't know when they want to get it going. They'll probably want to waste a bunch of time before they do that. But that's what's going to be coming up next. Now, there's going to be, this bill isn't going to be as popular, right? So the need to get it through isn't as, it's definitely pressing. Like, they need to get an infrastructure bill done, but it's not as pressing as this was, because there's not direct money going to people, right? So that's why the last leverage point was so big and important. This next reconciliation bill, I don't know exactly how much leverage they're going to have to get that $15 minimum wage in that bill, particularly because they couldn't get it in this bill, and the same, whether the roadblocks be artificial or not, are still there in this next reconciliation bill. So there's nothing really that's changed in between. So I'm wondering what plans y'all have to actually, get some of the people that we need on board for some of these policies to actually get them on board. Do y'all have any plans for that? Do y'all have any strategies for that? Because just talking behind the scenes and like appealing to their good hearts obviously does not work, right? That this doesn't work. So show me a new game plan, new strategy, to get that done in this next bill. And I don't really see that. Yeah, Pelosi used to champion Medicare for all. She did. 1995, Nancy Pelosi was championing Medicare for all. That's true. So that's it for the show today. Let me see if I missed any questions of you guys. Let's see. Has there been Ross Monroe? Thank you so much for the super chat. Has there been a bigger letdown than AOC recently? Like, how quickly didn't she change her tune when she got elected? She actually was still, like, after she got elected, she was still calling out the Democratic. I think as recent as October of 2020, she was calling out the Democratic Party for not having a vote on Medicare for all on the floor. Like, we can't even get a vote on Medicare for all. And I still was seeing stuff like that. Like, yeah, there you go. Like, good. That's what needs to be said. And then, as things advanced and Joe Biden got elected and like forced the vote came around, that's kind of when I started to realize that I don't think they don't have this adversarial relationship with the corporate Democrats in a similar fashion to the way the corporate Democrats have against them, because they do see that as an adversarial relationship. They do see kicking them off committees as a win for them, but somehow we don't see getting kicked off of committees as a loss for us in a game we're playing against the corporate Democrats. That's the issue. So that's kind of when I started to understand that. I just don't think that they see that relationship like that. And so therefore they're going to, they're just going to go along with the party and try and get small incremental changes here and there like they got into this bill, but nothing universal, nothing transformative, nothing redistributive, not withholding any votes, not publicly coming out and calling out Nancy Pelosi and leadership on MSNBC, on CNN, not organizing strikes, rallies. I don't think we're going to see any of that, unfortunately. Hopefully if we get enough people to, pressure them into doing it. They're politicians, and politicians will be they will bend to pressure. It just depends on who's pressuring them, right? So right now they have the corporate Democrats and the party pressuring them, and so they're bending to that. But we need all the left, their actual base, pressuring them so that they bend to our pressure, right? To left pressure, and start doing some of these strategies. Love you, Justin. Thank you for fighting for Medicare for all. Thank you. Love you too. Justin, you're an inspiration. Keep up the great work. So happy you have this channel. Appreciate you stopping by. Thanks everybody so much for stopping by. What did you study at Northwestern? I actually studied economics. Yo, when I think back to economics at Northwestern, and just this is elite, especially liberal institutions everywhere, it's like they teach you the economics of capitalism as a given, right? Like you'll have a course on the economics of healthcare. And in that course, they'll tell you economically for a firm how it makes sense that certain people who just can't afford it won't get care. Like they just won't have insurance. And they teach you that, and they teach it as fact, right? So they're literally just teaching the next generation of capitalists and capitalism, and they're entrenching in our society. And even like I think back on it now that like I'm hip to this stuff, and I'm like, wow, that's literally just propaganda. They're just propagandizing you into accepting the failures of this capitalistic system. And that's wild. That's wild. But they just teach it. Thanks for starting this channel and adding your voice to the good fight. Thank you so much for the super chat, Stephanie. I learned that at thinking and nursing as well. Yeah, that's like college is wild. Like when you really like look back on it if you look back on it from a leftist like perspective or lens, you just understand that they're just teaching you that they teach you like failures in the market, but they don't teach that that failure in the market is going to result in someone dying or someone not having access to something they need, even though it's available. right, is there. The building is there. The treatments are there. The doctors are there. They just don't have the money to get in. They'll teach that as just a given to the system, and they don't even teach that as like in fact, they don't even mention that. They just say, yeah, well, this is the supply curve and the demand curve where it meets. You get price equals marginal cost, et cetera, et cetera. And then they say, well, if someone's dying from cancer, then their demand curve is vertical because they'll pay whatever to make sure they're treated for it. Do you understand that there's literally poor people in poverty, can't afford it? Like, does that just not in your brain space? That's like economics at a liberal institution. You should Richard Wolf said that economics is taught exactly as you described. You should have him on, and you two should discuss it. Yeah, I really like every single video I've seen of Richard Wolf. I mean, he breaks it down perfectly. I know he was on Bad Faith Podcast with Brown and Joy Gray. I listened to that episode. That was great too. Yeah, I should have him on. I'm definitely gonna start having more people on the show. I know how to use this live, platform and how to bring people on now. So I'll definitely be doing more of that. I'm from Pittsburgh and a Steelers fan, but Justin converted me to a Chargers fan. There you go. That was like my first show out game I had actually was against the Steelers my rookie year. So I'm glad though. You should collab with Secular Talk. That's my boy. Kyle's my dude. So yeah. Maybe I already went on his and Crystal's new podcast. It was really fun. But yeah, so I do have to run, y'all. I thank y'all so much for coming to the stream. I'll definitely be doing this at least probably once a week, along with releasing my videos, maybe once or twice a week. But appreciate everyone stopping by. Make sure to check out the channel, the Takeover. Comment on my videos. I look at the comments. I subscribe so soon. I know Disco Phil. I'm sorry. I've been streaming for 1:45. It'll be up on the channel though if you want to rewatch it. So yeah, appreciate all y'all for stopping by, and yeah, everybody stay up, stay easy. Until next time.